What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Today, we got a guest on, and I want you to think about this when I say this. Went to jail at 18 years old, came home 42 years later. Could you imagine what it's like to be in prison for 42 years? But anyway, man, my guest name is Peter. He's from the great state of Nevada, chilling up there in Las Vegas. Tell the people more about you, brother, and where you're from.
Yes, my name is Peter, and I'm out of Las Vegas, and I committed a crime in 78, first-degree murder, robbery, and burglary, and I did 42 years in the state of Nevada.
42 years in the state of Nevada. Was it a death penalty case?
Yes, sir, it was definitely a death penalty case. Anytime murder is happening in the commission of a crime, it's deemed in the state of Nevada under the death penalty.
So do you end up going to trial back then?
I took it to the box. Yes, sir, I did.
When you say take it to the box, some people might not know. I want them to know that means you went to trial, had a jury of your peers determine whether or not you were guilty. So you go to this trial, you're 18 years old. I mean, you're probably a little older at the time you go to trial. But what's going through your mind if you got a death penalty case?
Well, I was so naive that I really nothing came to my mind but to act out violently in the jailhouses that they put me in. They put me in by 3 jailhouses because of my behavior. They kept transferring me to this jailhouse.
You go on trial for the death penalty. They find you guilty. Do you end up going to a death trial penalty phase?
Yes, sir. I had a penalty phase, and I was in front of the same jury that convicted me, and they did a character reference on me, and they wanted to know about my criminal history as a juvenile and as an adult.
They come back and they recommend life. They don't recommend death, obviously, right?
Yes, they recommended life without the possibility.
What was it like going, to that death penalty phase where you thinking, damn, these people might, they might execute me for what I did?
Hey, man, I didn't even think about no execution, but I did get violently sick and hurled right there in the courtroom when they was going through it.
I mean, I can only imagine, right? I mean, you're 18 years old.
I didn't even know, I couldn't even fathom what death penalty really was until I matured. When I matured years later, I seen, well, I could have possibly been dead.
Let's talk about your upbringing. What was your life like? I mean, what would lead you into a crime where at the age of 18, you end up, facing the death penalty?
Well, I came from a disciplinarian family. And when I reached a certain age of teenage, like 14, 15, I started acting out. I started going through the windows at night, coming back in, I just didn't want to be disciplined like I was no more. So I started, hanging out with the wrong crowds.
You told me that your father was in the Air Force or something, right?
Yes, sir. He was in the Air Force, 21 years.
What was it like for your parents to be like, damn, our son's, in jail facing the death penalty?
They were devastated, man. I broke their hearts, because they wanted better for me. They tried to keep me from being exposed to that lifestyle that I embraced, right? And, they were devastated.
So now how old are you when you end up walking into the prison with a life sentence?
When I walked in, I was 20 because during my trial, the first, I got a mistrial. So I had to lay over until they did whatever they wanted to do. And then I was about 20.
You're 20 years old, sentenced to life. Let me reverse for a minute. What was it like at that young age to be sentenced to life in prison and have to think, man, I'm going to live 60 or 70 years before I die inside of a penitentiary?
Okay, when I got that age, I started thinking, I said, well, I got life without, so let me see what this prison life is, and I'm going to try to do the best I can to survive it. I always thought I was going to get out.
I always believed that someday you'd get out of prison, even with a life sentence.
Even with the life sentence. I knew somehow through God that I was going to get out.
We'll talk about prison life in a second, but I want the people to know, early on in this interview, how do you end up getting out after 42 years with life without parole?
Well, I went to the pardon board. I went before Miss Judge, Governor Sisolak. He was in office then, and I had Abby Silverman, which is a Nevada Supreme Justice, whom granted me permission to come before them, and I had a staunch supporter, Harvey Mumford, which was a state assembly in the state of Nevada.
How the hell do you get people like that to support your release?
I wrote them. I constantly wrote them. I never gave up in writing. I was always articulate in writing, so that's what I did.
I'm glad you said that because you know what, man, I used to tell people in prison, right? I help a lot of people get out. I would tell people, man, that there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't do something. I didn't write a senator, a congressman, the president, took a program. I was doing something. I had a 40-year sentence and I wanted to get out of prison. So you steadily working, you were trying to get out of prison.
Yes, sir. Listen, when I was in prison in the state of Nevada, they gave me the best of jobs. And most of them I failed in because of my attitude and prison behavior. But at the end, I started programming real good, and they started offering different programs for me to be a part of. And I did.
I ask you, have you ever ran into a white dude named Jerry White while you were in prison? He got a life sentence. He was out of Ohio. Him and his partner, they allegedly killed this dude, man, after going to the casino with him. Do you know who he is by any chance?
No, sir, I don't. Not by that name.
Jerry's got like 20 something years, and I've been trying to help him with his pardon and his clemency. And I think that he got a raw deal. In your situation, it was a burglary that went bad, right?
Yes, sir.
Did the victim try to fight back, or?
Well, yes. We got startled, and the victim came at us, and from there, a scuffle broke out, and the victim died later. I think a week later or something.
Did the victim have a weapon at the house, or what made you guys retaliate?
Well, it was just our reaction. Before I get there, I used to box on the streets, and we were coming from boxing practice when all this here happened. So we were startled, and our reaction just led to a punch, and that punch was fatal.
So it was a punch that killed the victim.
Uh-huh.
No weapons, no guns, none of that.
No, sir. No, 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 none of that.
About remorse. I mean, did you ever feel remorseful while you were in prison?
The first day when I did it, I said, what have I done? I was shocked, and it hung out with me. And that's what really strengthened me, because I'm asking for forgiveness each and every day. And I could see at first I wasn't progressing, but later on down in life, I started progressing, going up, and things started looking up for me.
You end up going to the state prison system, in the 70s. I mean, 78, 79. I'm born in 78. So you walk into this prison system, after you get found guilty. I mean, was it racially segregated back then in Nevada?
Yes, sir. When an hour after the penalty phase, when they sentenced me to life without, they rushed me to the state of Nevada because they didn't want no more parts of me. And when I got there, NSP, that's where they sent me. It was all these racial groups. They were all hanging out. If you can look at the movie Shane Shawn Redemption, how the guys came into the yard and seen all the, that's how it was. The setting was the same way.
Who ran that system? I mean, did the whites run it? Did the blacks? Did the Hispanics? Who ran the system there?
Well, everybody had a piece of the pie. But during the time I came, the Caucasians were running it.
By the time you left, who was running it?
The police, the NDOC.
The police were running it, huh?
Yeah, calling all the shots.
Was there a point when, the blacks kind of like had power over there, or the Hispanics?
Oh yeah, during a course in my life in prison at NSP, we had a day that's called Black Day, October the 18th, where we attacked the police. We got tired of them locking us up. It was the AWs and the BWs. We joined hands. We locked up and joined hands that day, and they was walking people down the hill finna put them in the hole, and we attacked.
To the AWs and the Black Ws. Tell the people what that is. I know what it is, but I want you to tell them.
Okay, AWs Aryan warriors. They not respected. BWs is Black warriors.
The Aryan warriors were not respected in there?
They not respected nowhere. At a time they were. In the 60s, when they first put it together, they were, because the concept was against prison administration. But as the years went on, they started, making their own victims and other people victims of they greed and what they wanted.
Unfortunately, we see a lot of that with these groups where they victimize their own people, and
oh yeah,
they're not really what they say they stand for. But
no, you're right. I agree totally.
Any white groups in that prison system that are respected?
No, the skinheads came through to try to knock off the A-dubs, and they end up being A-dubs. It was just a lot of politics going on back then.
You were in prison. You were in prison in an era where we see a lot of this stuff on YouTube now, where we got this Fleece Johnson guy, Booty Bandit, and all this other silly stuff. When you walk in there at that age, man, I mean, is there stuff like that going on? Booty Bandits and
oh yeah, it's a protocol. But see, when I came to prison, I was already a made cat because of my jailhouse history. So I was already made. I had one little run in, and I caught attempt murder, and then I caught some time behind because I guess the guy, wanted to cross that line, but I crossed it for him, and I don't regret it because he came at me. I'm a teenager and he's a grown ass man, and he came at me foul. So I got with it. I got with his program, and when his people came later on down the years, they was asking me about it. Well, I said, well, we even because your father told on me. And that's why I got this attempt murder. Now, if you want to handle something, we can handle it. But, it didn't happen that way.
You talk about, what was he pressing you? I mean, for that?
Pressing me like he was trying to take my manhood, bro. I'm a teen. I'm young. I'm a youngster, 20 years old. I don't know nothing about no prison life or none of that. And he had been in prison already. So he trying to press me for my manhood. So I pressed him back in the worst kind of way.
How many times did he get hit? I'm just curious.
Huh?
You hit him up. How many times?
20.
20 times, and he lives.
And he lives.
I mean, had he not, that might have.
Yeah, I might have not got out. That's why I said my spirituality was behind me, but now I had to do what I had to do. And mind you, I didn't go with no gang or nothing. I went by myself. I found out his weakness. He liked smoking weed. And I went and got a joint from the OGs on the yard. They sold me one, and I called him when he came out the kitchen and went up to his room and got with him, man. Let him smoke that weed and got with him.
So now, we talked a little bit about the BWs, the Black Warriors, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, was that the strongest African-American gang in that system?
At that time, yes. At the time that I came in, yes.
Eventually, I suppose, from what I've, heard and read a little bit, you were at the top of that chain at one time, correct?
Well, yeah, I had, I was, I didn't have to worry about getting ate on or chewed on.
After you spend 42 years in there, I mean, you got to have some clout, some respect, right?
Yeah, but it didn't take 42 for that clout. I got that clout as soon as I hollered at that boy. They knew I was real about it. I'll go take care of my own business. I don't need nobody.
All them years in prison, I mean, you probably seen a lot of things change, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you walked in there, what was the food like?
Oh, the food was lovely. We had nice tin plates, real knives and forks and spoons, and real food. They gave us real food. You can get your eggs flipped like you want to and all that.
But
But
eventually, I'm sure that deteriorated, right?
oh, absolutely.
How bad was the food by the time you left?
Um, I wouldn't even serve it to my pet, and I had 3 dogs.
It's horrible. People don't understand. Some people will watch the video and be like, you know what, man, they deserve everything they get. But really, man, I mean, it becomes inhumane in them places at
It
some.
is humane in prison. It's I was dehuman. I can't tell you how many times they tried to dehumanize me and degrade me. I can't tell you how many times the stuff I went through, and I survived it all.
What are some of the
I
things that
survived.
people want to know? That's why we're on this interview. What are some of the
Yeah,
things that you went through?
I went through riots, 101 attempts. That could have went bad for me, but it didn't. Administration always harassed me. Always, constantly. Even to the time I got out, they wanted me to do. They wanted me to do 26 years after the 42. This is what they tried to tell the governor. And the governor told him, listen, if that man wouldn't have did 42 years, that 26 would have been claimed up. Done. So we're not going to even talk about that. Now, is anybody else that want to say something? And it wasn't nobody else against it. So, they let me go.
You got the other 26 years for stabbing the other cat who tried to victimize you.
Yes, sir.
26, damn, it must have been pretty serious for him to take you to court after you already had a life sentence.
Well, I left him a paraplegic.
Oh, he's a oh, okay. So I mean, you really
Yeah.
put this dude to sleep.
I mean, he asked for it, bro. I wasn't, I'm a young kid and I'm trying to find my way. And this guy come at me and threaten my manhood. So, I had to.
Just talked about that on a video today where, sometimes, man, you got to do what you got to do or else you become a victim repeatedly. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
mad. I'm not arguing.
absolutely. If I'd have let him violate me, that's what it would have been. It violated to the time I got out. And I might have not had made it out.
I understand. What's some of the worst things you've seen in there besides your situation?
I, I done seen everything under the sun.
You got 42 years of experience.
Rape, murder, and mayhem, bro. Rape, murder, and mayhem. I didn't see.
A lot of violence in there.
Yeah, a lot of violence.
How has it affected you, man, mentally and emotionally? What has it done to you?
Well, it really has infected it has a bearing on me because I have meltdowns. I have terrible meltdowns where I can't be around people. I can't, like, for instance, I can't go to any shopping centers or nothing because of the people. The people out here, so I don't know, they not friendly. Like in the 70s, when I grew up it was peace, love, and hair grease. Nowadays, everybody want to kill and, for no reason. Road rage out here in Nevada is ridiculous.
Do you have problems sleeping at night?
I have cold sweats and everything. Right now, I'm seeing a therapist right now about, post-traumatic stress disorder.
Do you ever see things in your dreams, man, that you experience? Because I've seen things, I've dreamed about things that I've seen.
Not to interrupt you, yes. Who hasn't in 42 years?
I see them after 20. What about the cops?
Yeah.
You ever have the cops put their hands on you?
Oh, man, you catch fades with cops. In my generation, we caught fades with cops.
That was back.
That's how it was.
That's back then because I've seen that too. But I'm asking you, later on, you ever been handcuffed and punched in the back of the head?
Several times. Yeah, before I got out. I had a serious operation before I got out, just right before I got out. And these people came at me so foul to the point that they was trying to get aggressive with me. And I had to have a urine bag on for 8 weeks. That's how this operation was for me. And these people the police was coming at me and said, now is our chance to get you. I said, yeah, go ahead.
Why was there so much issues with you and the cops? Is it because of how you conducted yourself? You're like, yo, I'm here for the rest of my life. I don't care about what you're doing. What was it?
No, it was that they seen me grow and they wanted me to still stay in an ignorant state. So I grew and metamorphosed in a state that I was articulate with my mouth as well as writing. And they didn't like that. I was a law clerk at one time, bruh, in there, and I did all my letters, correspondence to politicians, even to President Obama. I hit him up too and asked him for, spare my life. And they seen it on the sloppy disk and said, "Nah, you can't do this in here," because they was mad. They didn't want me to get out instead of helping me. I said, why can't I do it in here? I'm running all these letters through y'all. Y'all seeing them. It's nothing incriminating you guys. And when I said the word incriminating you guys, oh, they went crazy.
I feel like that about that system because of the kid that I'm helping, Jerry White, right? Like it's an oppressive system over there. And
It is.
I wrote articles for Criminal Legal News, Prisoners Legal News, and I wrote some articles about the Nevada, Department of Corrections and stuff. But sometimes in the federal system, I've experienced where some people actually, cared. They actually were hopeful that I would make it out. But it seems like over there, man, was it everybody against you guys?
Not everybody. It's some. It's some people that want to see you do good after they hear your story. But the people that are good are overshadowed by all the badness in there with the correctional staffs.
Is it hard for you to talk to the therapist about your experiences in there, things like that?
At first it was, but now it isn't. I talk freely to her,
This is the big thing. 42 years. How does it happen? Do they just come tell you, hey, you're leaving today or you're leaving in 2 weeks? What happens?
Well, it's a process that you go through. I was trying to get out there as quick as possible after I got pardoned. I was trying to get out of prison, and it's a process. It may take you 3 months. It took me three. Well, I got out a little quicker because I had all those people behind me.
When you get the pardon, how do you find out? I mean, what's the first thing that happens when you?
When you get the pardon, you go in front of the governor, the attorney general, and all the Nevada Supreme Justices. When I say you go in front of them, they sitting way up, and you right in front of them.
We got to talk about that, brother. I got to talk to you. So you're there in person. The governor's there, and you're there in person.
Yeah.
What's it like? You got to speak. I mean, what's it like for you to speak?
At first I was nervous, but now you have to understand that I was older and I was able to handle myself. Now I had a lot of nerves, but I spoke elegant and they respected it. They had a few questions. They asked me, was I remorsed? And I told them, yes, I've been remorsed from day one. And this is why I had so many problems in prison, because I couldn't understand the stupidity that allowed me to be in the situation that I was in.
The governor asked you any specific questions himself?
Yes. That's the question that he asked me. He asked me about the crime and that.
That day, you're in front of these people. They get done talking to you. Do you have to go sit in another room and wait for their decision? Do they bring you back in? What happens?
No, they tell you right then.
They don't even discuss it like, yo, you think we should do this? They're just like, all right, my decision today.
No, they have a little thing, but it's in front of you. You seeing everything. You seeing the votes and everything.
Can you hear them talking about you?
Yeah, the judges. I mean, governor is asking for nay and A's, nay and A. Oh, however it go.
Have any input where they're
I
like,
only had two people. I only had two Nevada Supreme Justices against me. Everybody else ran with me.
they say no? Do they give their input as to why?
No, they just say no.
The governor says, you know what? Today, Peter, I'm going to grant you, a pardon. Is that how it goes?
Yes, sir.
You're teaching me. It's a teachable moment. You're schooling me on Nevada now. And when he
Yeah,
says that, what do you think in your mind?
I'm saying, thank God. Free at last. Thank God, free at last.
So free at last. Do you thank him like, man, thank you? Are you crying?
Oh yes, oh yeah. Each and every one of them. I thought, even the ones that said no.
Are you crying or what?
Well, I did have
You're
tears in
lying
my
now,
eyes.
Peter. Don't get to lying to me. Was you crying, bro?
I was crying. Yeah, I had tears in my eyes. I'm finna cry now. It's like like you. It's like a chill in my when I talk about that because I couldn't believe that after 42 years, these people honestly gave me a chance.
Are you thankful for it?
Yes, sir. I'm very thankful.
Never do anything ever again to go back to prison, right?
No, sir. That's what I'm trying to, get with good people so I can do right. I mean, I don't have much longer in this earth, I don't think. I'm not Moses, I'm not in from the biblical times or anything, but I do know as long as I'm here, I'm gonna do the right thing.
Some people might want to donate, to the channel. And today, I'm going to donate you some money because I know the struggle, man. I know what it's like to get out. I'm going to post your Cash App for people to jump on there and look at it. I think I got it on my text message. So anyone that wants to donate to the channel today, man, donate to this brother, man, who spent 42 years of his life in prison, went to prison at 18. I mean, I'm sure you come home. I mean, do you have any family left when you actually walk out? I mean, immediate family, brothers, sisters, parents.
No, I'm gonna tell you, my mother stayed alive to see me get out. I FaceTimed her for 6 months and she caught brain cancer. She was in Atlanta in one of those homes, and the parole system made me jump through hoops to see my mother. It was to the point that I had to call Carson City, and by the time I got my round trip ticket, it was $2,000, which I had to borrow. And I went to see my mother, and when people in passing, they don't really hear you, but sometimes they'll look up at you. So I said, "Mama, you can let go now. I'm here." And she looked at me. Everybody in the room seen it. And she passed away. I was on the plane coming back to Vegas and she passed away, man.
Man, bro,
I
that was.
really wanted, I really,
You're all right, man. You're all right. This is the realities of prison, man. And young kids that go to prison might never see their parents again, or you come home and it's that last minute, man.
that really bothered me because I wanted my mother to really see that I had grown into a real man and I wasn't no BS person, that I was a good person.
All right, man. Listen, you're all right, and I'm sure she knows that, and she's looking down on you from heaven. Maybe your father had some influence on the governor and touched his heart. And I'm just glad that you're free, brother, and I'm glad that you're living your best life. I want you to live your best life. I know the struggle, and this ain't a YouTube channel where we just glamorize prison and we get into all that nonsense. This is real, man. This is raw. This is the effects of prison, man.
Exactly. And that's why I chose you to interview me because I don't really want to glorify prison because prison is nothing to glorify. It's horrible. It's dehumanizing and barbaric. And you have to act accordingly because if you don't act accordingly, and that's to your mentality, you're going to suffer in the long run.
Nothing nice about prison, right?
Nothing.
Missing Christmases, holidays, watching your family grow old through pictures and visits. That's the reality of prison.
Yeah.
It's a struggle, and I can tell talking to you that it's not easy for you to talk. Even though you talk to your therapist, it's not easy. I can see the effects of prison on you, and the stuff, your mom passing away, that she passed away, but she got to see you. She held on. When your father passed away, how old were you?
I was in prison when my father passed away in 2007.
And
He
did your
passed
dad,
away.
did he used to come visit you in prison and help you out?
Yes. I would never let my mother come see me because I know she couldn't handle it. I know it would have killed her to see me handcuffed and people taking me in there handcuffed like they were.
All them years you never seen your mother while you were in prison?
I refused to see her. I seen her when I was in the jailhouse. She went through all through my trial.
42 years. You didn't get to you didn't get to hug your mom or see her or nothing.
I didn't want to hurt my mom, man. I know it.
Respect you for it, man, but that's tough, man. And for you to have that love and compassion for your mother, man, I respect that, man. Listen, just you're all right. Keep your head up, man. You're a grown man. You've been through things that are tough, and you got a message, man. Young kids, man, need to see this. There's an 18-year-old kid out there with a gun right now, man, that thinks he's going to rob someone, and it's going to go all the way bad, and he's never going to see his mother again. That's the reality. That's the possibility, man. Peter, I'm not going to keep you on here forever, but I think that the message is pretty much like, look, think before you do things, because you don't really realize what the consequences are until you're living them, until you're facing them. And it ain't just prison. It's the nights that you go to bed hungry. It's the times that you don't get to see your mother. It's the time when you get to come home and you see your mother and one time and then it's over with, man. Those are the real consequences. It ain't just
And I didn't want that to happen to me, man. That's why I didn't let my mama come. I can handle my daddy because he a dude like me. So it ain't no problem. But for a female, I just couldn't do it.
man. Before we get ready to go, what message would you give to the youngsters out there, man?
I would like to tell them to think twice on what they're doing because they don't want prison life. I don't care how tough they think they are. They don't want prison life because it's always somebody tougher than you and they looking to get you.
I mean, for sure, man. It's not the life that people think, right? You got to stop. You got to think before you make irrational, irresponsible choices. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to post up your Cash App. I'm going to make a donation. I don't pay people for interviews because then I don't feel like it's real and it's raw, but I'm going to make a donation, man, because I know what the struggle is like. For people that want to, donate, this brother's Cash App is a money sign, Dyer, Dyer, Peter, Peter. So his Cash App is Dyer Peter. So if you want to look out for this brother, man, the struggle is real. Dudes that been to prison, even if it's $5, $10, $50, $100, whatever you could do. If you want to donate, today to the channel, man, donate it to this brother. I don't want it. I want this brother to get some help to try to help him, have a better life and help him with his reentry, because that's what's important, man. And Peter, man, I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. And the interview's real, man. It's real and it's raw, man. And I've never spoke to anybody that served 42 years in prison. I thought my 18 years was something. I can only imagine what your 42 years was like, to walk out to this world, to this life that, you don't even want to drive in, and you can't go into the department stores. But hopefully you'll get better in time, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming on, man. And maybe, I know it's tough. I can tell, listen, I'm not a psychologist, bro, but I'm a people person. I've been around people all my life, and you have too. And I can tell when something affects someone. Prison has affected you, man. And I think that in time,
really bad, man. Really bad. Really bad. I'm telling you, really bad.
It's going to get better. When I came home, and I used to sleep with a knife for over a year and a half. Sometimes I'd have bad dreams, and my wife would wake me up. Hey, what are you doing? And you know what? But I got better, man, as time went on. As time goes on, you're going to get better, man. It's a healing process. And I'm going to just tell people, man, again, man, your Cash App's going to be in the links, man. If you want to look out, man, look out for this guy. He needs it. 42 years in prison is a long time. Listen, brother, again, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to tell people, man, with respect, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. We bring it to you real, we bring it to you raw. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.